I got a couple buddies who are going to activate a couple POTA parks down in the Bitterroot Valley where I was last week. Up here where I live, there's still a lot of snow up in the hills, so I'm too afraid to take my truck up those snowbound roads and get stuck in the ditch like I did last year. So I've got a workaround to work a park, and I'll show you how I'm going to do that. Hi, this is KJ7OKW Dead Ham Walking. Hey, it's a beautiful day in western Montana. Sun's out, it's going to be warm, above freezing. I'm going to go do a POTA. Alright, here's XYL and XDOG. I don't know if that's a real thing, but they're going to hang out in the truck while I go explore. And easiest way to get here, we came up the Cemetery Road in Plains. I'm not going to string my antenna up on one of these gravestones. This area that I'm going to just happens to border the cemetery here in Plains, just on the other side of that small, dark, dense tree is the fence that borders Lolo National Forest, which is just a couple of acres in town that the ranger station, the Forest Service station, sits on. So it's legal. It's Lolo National Forest, and I only had to go a half a mile from home to get there. Okay, what do I mean by a workaround in getting a POTA activation? You can also call this the lazy man's way to activate a POTA park. I don't know if you want to go that far, but let me show you how I discovered this. This is the POTA website page for Lolo National Forest, which surrounds the area where I live. This is a huge place, and if you click on the little arrow, this is supposedly where the park is, except this is a huge place. It goes down to Missoula, all the way up to Plains where I live, and to give you a better idea of what that looks like, here we go. This is the map of Lolo National Forest. Everything you see in orange is the forest. Here's how big it is. Down here is Missoula. If I'm in Missoula and I drive to my house, I go up the 93, take a left here, and Plains is right here. That trip takes me an hour and a half. It's a huge national forest. So what's the issue? Why do you need a workaround? Why do you need an easy way to activate this park? Well, if you think about it, most of this area in the park is off-road, and to get to an area where you want to put an antenna up, either on the side of a mountain or on the top of a peak, you're going to have to hit the Forest Service roads. And for me, at least, in Plains in the middle of February, all those roads are still covered with snow. I made the mistake last year of trying to do this, got my truck stuck in a ditch 5 miles off the main highway, and fortunately had to call someone to come and get me. But you just can't drive up these Forest Service roads in the winter. You're sort of stuck. Let's go to the Forest Service website. Here's what the trick is. This is Lolo National Forest page. It's huge. It's 2 million acres. And the key to sort of getting a workaround here is to find out where the Forest Service stations are. We'll go forward here. So for Lolo National Forest, they've got a ranger station in Missoula. They've got a ranger station in Huson. They've got a ranger station in my hometown of Plains. So what's the big deal with that? Well, I sort of found this accidentally. We're going to go over here. I found this one planning a Summits on the Air, a Soda Peak. This is Locust Hill. It's a little one-pointer, just half a mile from my house here in Plains, Montana. And I'm planning to do that next year when there's no more snow on the mountains, because again, I can't get up there now. So what I was doing in planning this, I went to the topo map. And this is how I plan all my summits. I look at the topo map and say to myself, how am I going to get there? So I've already planned this for next spring when there's no snow. And again, that's a Summits on the Air. We're talking parks on the air. But take a look over here. What's this little black square that says LNF in the middle of it? Well, believe it or not, that's a little section of Lolo National Forest. Inside that box, you're in Lolo National Forest. Otherwise, you're not. Now, this is not a place I'd want to go to activate because we got high power lines all over here, so that would be not a good idea. But if we back out of the topographical map and we go down to Plains, Montana, down here, this is where I live. Look at this. Lolo National Forest. It's part of the land that the ranger station sits on. Just right in town here. I went today and I went up to the cemetery and parked and walked across this field and hopped this fence. I'm in Lolo National Forest and I haven't been 5 minutes away from my house. That's the workaround. Some of these forest stations, even though they're in town, are technically on Forest Service land. Let's look at another park. This is Kootenai National Forest, which I have not activated yet. But again, it's a huge place. If we click on the button, it's way up in northwestern Montana by the border of Idaho. And if we back out, so Kootenai is over here in Eureka, it goes over here, it goes down to Troy, it goes down to Libby. It's just a huge place. And again, most of the property of the park is not accessible to a regular car. You got to go on a Forest Service road, find a slope or a peak where you can get out and reach the radio waves, especially in the winter. Up here, it's all full of snow. You can't get there. So let's look at Kootenai National Forest page and look at the different ranger districts. They've got a ranger station in Eureka, Montana, Troy, Montana, Libby, Montana, Trout Creek, Montana, and I bet you anything, they're sitting on a little piece of national forest land. Let's go over here. This is Black Butte. The only reason I'm here on the Summits on the Air page is so I can access these topo maps. I want to look at the topo map over here in Eureka, but let's go into Black Butte, open up the Cal Topo. It's a great website, by the way. I use it to plan all my SOTA and POTA peaks. So let's back out of Black Butte. Looks like a nice drive to Summits on the Air, but we're not looking at that now. Let's go over here to Eureka, Montana, way up by the near the Canadian border. Eureka Ranger Station. Let's zoom in. And what do you know? KNF, Kootenai National Forest. You can drive right through Eureka, turn into the Forest Ranger Station, set your antenna up, activate Kootenai National Forest, never get your feet muddy. So this is the workaround I found. If you can find a ranger station in a city or in a little town that's part of a huge national forest system, you can probably get the activation. Now, this is not going to work for some of these smaller parks and national parks. It doesn't work for everything, but if you've got a huge area that you can activate, this is a good trick. Going back to Plains, where I activated Lolo National Forest today, we can see this little piece of land that's on the National Forest. And let's back up. The National Forest is chopped up into little bits and pieces near where I live. So if we back out of the topo map, there's part of the forest, there's part of the forest, there's not part of the forest, no forest. So you got to be real careful when you activate some of these places that are chopped up. Here, that's the forest, just that little square, and you get the idea. So what's the trick? What's the workaround? What's the lazy man's way of activating a park? See if they've got several ranger stations associated with it. You're going to have to go on the USDA.gov website for that particular park and check it out. Again, this is Missoula, Houston, Plains, Seeley Lake. And I bet you if you go to each of these individual towns and look it up on the topo map, you'll find a little piece of the forest right around the park headquarters. Okay, I'm technically in the town of Plains, Montana. And behind me you can see that big tree and that fence between the two of us is the border of the national park, Lolo National Park. I'm standing in Lolo National Park, which is just a couple acres of land in town that contains the Forest Service station. All right, we got my collapsible fishing pole, which I'll extend out to about 20 feet. My wire antenna, which I will attach the transmitting end of to, and some bungee cords to strap the pole to the fence post. All right, the bungee cords are holding the fishing pole in place, and you can see I've got that extended up quite a ways. 20 feet or so with my wire antenna coming off the edge, and again we'll extend that back to the radio for 88 feet. Now we're back at where I'm setting up the radio, about 88 feet away from the fishing pole there. I'm pointing this down towards, or down up the valley you see ahead of you, towards northern Idaho. Try to get my signal away from the mountains that surround me on both sides. Alright, I'm all set up, getting ready to go. You can see the orange wire coming off my Elecraft KX3. It actually goes up my lap to this pole that the wire then extends off into the distance to the big fishing pole. I usually have a rock or something I can stick this pole into, but today it's getting wrapped around my knees because I'm in the middle of a meadow. Alright, I've had a good day. Got 10 contacts. I've been here about an hour, and not the greatest place to broadcast from, but I did get the 10 contacts. I had to work at it a bit. I got my friends in the Bitterroot Valley, about 100 miles away on 80 meters, and sort of around the country with mainly 20 meters. So it's a success.
Well, here's how I did today. I got a total of 10 contacts, so I got enough to activate the park. It wasn't as easy to do this as I had done last weekend. Granted, I was in a big valley with mountains surrounding me, but I'm still happy to get what I got. Total of about 50 minutes of work. We've got 2 confirmations already. We look over to the right, and like I usually do when I'm activating a park, I chase other parks. So I got a bunch of park to parks. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 parks to park contacts. These 3 I got when I was parked on 14.336, and it took me a while just to get those 3. So people had a hard time finding me. I had an easy time finding them. How far did we get out? Almost 2,000 miles in North Carolina, but generally these are a lot shorter contacts. So again, I was happy to get this. This was a prearranged contact with my friend down in the Bitterroot Valley, Vic. We prearranged this, and we're only about 80 miles from each other, so we prearranged 80-meter call, which worked just great. So again, very happy with the results.
Please like and subscribe. Please like and subscribe. Mr. Dedham says if he gets enough views, I'll be a YouTube star.